Are you struggling to configure Swashbuckle with ASP.NET API versioning? You're not alone. Many developers face this challenge, and today, we're going to simplify it for you. I totally get it. It can be really frustrating when your API documentation doesn't reflect the versions you have set up. You're not the only one who has faced this issue, and it's a common hurdle in API development. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked, how do I configure Swashbuckle to work with ASP.NET API versioning? They provided some code snippets from their startup.cs file, and it seems like they're on the right track, but need a little guidance. So what's the issue here? The user has set up attribute-based routing and API versioning, but they are struggling to get Swashbuckle to recognize these versions in the documentation. This is a common scenario when integrating multiple API versions. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to configure multiple API versions in Swashbuckle, and I promise you'll be able to impress your team with your newfound knowledge. To configure Swashbuckle for API versioning, the user should first ensure that the necessary packages are installed. This includes both Swashbuckle and the ASP.NET API versioning packages. Next, the user needs to modify the startup.cs file to set up the Swagger configuration. This involves adding the multiple API versions method to the Swagger configuration. After setting up the Swagger configuration, the user should ensure that the API versioning is correctly configured in the routing. This is done by using the route attribute with the version parameter. Finally, the user should test the Swagger UI to confirm that the API versions are displayed correctly. This can be done by navigating to the Swagger endpoint in a web browser. Fun fact, did you know that the first version of the API was created in the 1960s? It's amazing how far we've come in making APIs more user-friendly and versioned. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. One user suggests that the resolve version support by route constraint method might be incorrect. They reference a discussion on GitHub for further insights. Here's a pro tip. Always document your API versions clearly in your Swagger UI. This not only helps you, but also your users to understand which version they should be using. And there you have it. You should now be able to configure multiple API versions in Swashbuckle with ease. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on API development.